Welcome back, everyone. This is a continuation of the last video I was showing you as we were reassembling the tension assembly, and I basically ran out of memory, so I had to reset my camera and my video files. But we are finishing up when we were last interrupted by this memory situation. You would have seen I was discussing how you put in this last dial, and of course I mentioned to you that on the inside of this dial is a little notch, and I think you can see it right there. There's a little notch at 12 o'clock. What we want to do, and I'll zoom in again so you can see what I was referring to. Remember the little washer with that little ear at the top that kind of points toward you. What we want is the notch for this dial. Zoom back out so you don't have a macro view of that, of my thumb. What I want is I want this notch to be just to the right of that little ear on the washer. And you'll know that because if you get 0 and 9 at top where they should be, you should be able to turn to the right, and I can't. So I'm going to pull it off and tilt it just a bit. There we go. So that now I can turn, with my fingers, I can turn this number dial to the right. When I go to the left, it stops at 0, and that's where you want it. Now, you may find that you need to kind of hold in because it'll want to wiggle off. Now you're going to take your set screw, or your turning screw, as it were, on the very end of your tension assembly. And of course, you will see that it has a little notch or little piece that's protruding, and that piece is going to find itself a home in one of many little holes on the inner rim of this numbered dial. Now, you hold the dial in. We'll zoom back in. Sorry for all the zooming, guys, but I need you to have a better view of this. So notice I've got this in place, and then I have my dial. And I'm not so much worried about where that little protrusion is when I start, unlike with the number dial. But what I want to do is get it started on the end of this threaded shaft. Now, what you'll see is, as you do that, you're going to want to keep holding in the number dial, and what you want to do is turn this in such a way that it engages with the numbered dial. You'll hear it, you'll feel it. Actually, that little peg on this threaded adjusting screw will find one of those little holes. Now, notice that you heard it click. Notice that if I turn to the right, it should go all the way to about 9 and then pull it back. Now, what you may discover is that sometimes you may have to adjust the outer screw. You may need to loosen it a bit before you engage the numbered dial. If you've screwed it in too far, what will happen is as you go to turn it, you'll never make it to 9. Right now I'm making it about to 8. So what do I want to do? I'm going to push in, and I'm just going to back off just a bit. I'm going to loosen the little chrome screw here. Now let's see what it does. There it is. It found one of those holes. Now notice that it's protruding out a little bit more, but now when I turn, I can go all the way to 9 and stop. And there you go. That is the adjustment and the installation of your set screw. And now we have, of course, we have our check spring, and we should be about ready to we are now finished with the tension assembly. So the only thing coming up next will be we're going to reinstall the needle plate, and I'll show you guys what I mentioned when we were taking it out, that you do want to line up. There's a little finger on your shuttle that you need to line up with that plate in order for it to work properly. So stay tuned for the next video. This was the completion of the one that got cut off there. And after that, all we'll have left, I believe, is to we're going to reline the bottom pan, the drip pan of the 301 with new felt. So stay tuned, guys. We're working our way toward the end here, and I so appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. If you have any comments, or if you've had any issues with your own tension assembly, or maybe you've already had experience working on one, let me know and put your comments down below, and we will see you in the next video.